How's the cat?
If your wife has my cock in her healthy mouth, you're in the right lane. And she screams my name and comes so pound, you're in the right lane. Paramedics saying that it looks awful dire, especially when you're trapped in a car on fire. You're in the right lane. Get out of the bike lane, my SUV. Hey, Vespa, you messed up, you two pigeons. You're bloated, you're bored, you're dead, and you're dead. Run through the mountains, run through the mountains, run through the mountains, sell your cigarettes through the mountains. Run through the mountains, sell your brown Chevette. Who is the sun bus? Who is the sun bus? Give the driver a wave on the sun bus. Who is the sun bus?
Oh, hello again, everybody. You know what time it is. Great Lakes Beer has sponsored this Sunday night's main event, Hell in the Cell After Party. Oh my goodness. Now here are your hosts, Boris and Matt.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Hell in a Cell After Party. What a pay-per-view it was. We went through hell. Cody clearly went through hell in a cell. What a match. What a night. We have tons to get to. So first off, I want to thank Great Lakes Brewery for providing us with some fine ale. Matt, how's it going?
It's going well, man. Thank you very much for asking. Awesome show. Sneaky little good show here for the WWE. I really enjoyed this premium live event. Boris, how did you feel?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of like NXT, right? Like I went in with, and I hate to say this, I don't like sounding like a negative Nancy, but I went in with low expectations, and everyone, for the most part, surpassed them. Even the match that I was looking forward to the least, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and clearly I'll call it out, but it worked out. Fun little event. What a crazy concept for us to go live the same night that the pay-per-view started.
Could you imagine starting a show at 11:15 Eastern? Boris, what a time to be alive, buddy. But yeah, no,
hey, and I'm out here in Vancouver, so it's only 8:15 for me. I can still go out and drink all the beer after this show.
I'm jealous a little bit, just a little bit. You know, I gotta work in the morning. You're out there on vacation in the West Coast of Canada, living it up. I feel you, buddy. But yeah, man, very good show. You know what I mean? Like WWE, I hate Raw. I hate SmackDown. I think you should avoid watching those shows, but the premium live events, the pay-per-views, they still deliver. They really do, man. They're coming out here. Everyone's working really hard, and they're good shows.
Yep, exactly. That's the thing. And I'm looking at the attendees. Matthew Smith, you haven't fallen asleep. So happy to see you. Tommy from Virginia, happy to see you. Sean K, you know, it's awesome that you're around. Jake from Chicago. Hopefully you can chat later. And we have someone, actually. He's going to be joining us in a little bit, live from the show itself. That's probably live in his RV or some cell phone somewhere. And that's Mike McGuire.
Yeah, it'll be nice to see Mike live on location. Mikey Mac, in Chicago doing his thing. It's dope.
Exactly. And you know what? You know, as bad as this sounds, today's show got interesting right in the morning. So, you know, little background, we're going to kind of lift the curtain a little bit as you and I were recording NXT talk, chatting all things in your house. We both got a message in the host group chat basically saying from Mike McGuire, hey, breaking news. Meltzer just told me Cody is injured. That was the extent of the message. At that point, we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and Cody obviously was hurting. He worked through some kind of injury. Now, this is professional wrestling, and I do think there's a great debate to be had about how injured Cody was, how much of that was makeup, how much of it was real bruise, how much of it was whatever. But like, they built an incredible match around an injured person. But yeah, there was a lot of debate as to whether or not this match would even happen during the day.
Exactly. There was a lot of intrigue. We didn't know to what extent he was actually injured, you know, and I saw in the chat, and I forget who put this on the chat. I think it was Kirk, and he essentially said that once your pec is torn, that's it. That's as bad as it could get. So that's the only reason why he was cleared to wrestle. I don't know the legitimacy of this. I kind of want to look into this a little more. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about this, but it built intrigue to the show as we were leading up to it. And again, you know, throughout the entire show and the kickoff show, they were talking about the injury, and it kind of, there was suspense around the entire show.
It definitely added whether it was I don't think it was completely a work, let me be clear, but how much of it they planned, how much of it they're playing up, it definitely added an angle of intrigue to this show. Inarguably it did. And the reveal of Cody's injury got a gasp from the crowd, not just like a pop, a gasp, a legitimate gasp. So like it was on people's minds, and they were shocked when they saw it. So
and we'll touch on that in a little bit. So let's get to it. The kickoff show really didn't have much. It was just the panel. It was promos, the same promos that we see later on in the show. I don't think there was anything noteworthy from the kickoff show, right, Matt?
Yeah, exactly. It was the typical fare. Even like watching NXT, their kickoff show was even more noteworthy than this kickoff show. And that was like,
did we lose
2 out of 10.
All right. You're breaking up a little bit, so we'll work on that.
Matthew,
all right, so let's get to the show. The first match of the night was the women's triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship. It was Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Becky Lynch. Matt, this match was one of the matches that we had talked about, one of the matches that we were looking forward to in this show. So I was kind of happy that this kicked off the show. And man, did this not only deliver, it over-delivered, and I had high expectations for this match going into it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Obviously, all three of these women are incredible performers. Like, they're really, really good wrestlers, and they were given a nice slot to open up an important pay-per-view in Chicago. They delivered, man. This was a great wrestling match.
Yeah, one of the notes here that I have is Asuka worked her ass off. She was essentially featured most of the match, but just like any typical WWE triple threat, you know, you had two performers in the ring. One of them was kind of chilling outside, selling an injury, and that's what we got most of the match. And it was a combination of the three kind of working back and forth with each other, but it just worked. I really enjoyed the way that they did this.
Yeah, I agree with that. The story of the match seemed to be that every time Bianca Belair would get the advantage, someone would throw her outside, right? And that played into the finish of the match. I thought the whole layout of the match was very clever. They worked in a lot of interesting spots. Maybe the double ankle lock, Boris, was debatable as to whether that was a good spot or not. But I think they worked really, really hard on this match, and they really produced a great one, man.
Exactly. And as we were getting closer to the end of the match, like, the momentum was just picking up. The intensity was there. Lynch sets up Belair for a disarmer. Belair powered Lynch up. Lynch then grabbed the top rope to avoid her KOD finisher. Lynch then performs a crossbody block that Belair rode through. Lynch then shoved Belair into a missile dropkick from Asuka. A little later, Asuka caught Lynch in the Asuka lock while Belair was down at ringside. Lynch got to her feet, kicked off the ropes. She ended up on top of Asuka for a 2 count. Asuka adjusted and put Lynch back in her finisher. Lynch then rolled to the ropes. Belair went for a move from the top rope. She flew over both women. Belair catches Asuka going for a hip attack, then powered her up, slammed her face into a turnbuckle. Lynch threw Belair to the floor, then put Asuka down with a manhandle slam. Belair returned into the ring, tossed Lynch to ringside, covers, and pins Asuka for the win to retain her belt in 18 minutes, 50 seconds.
Again, man, fabulous wrestling match. You could argue the best match of the weekend. I personally have not seen the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Bros, which a lot of people have been raving about. But other than that, it was better than anything on the NXT show we just reviewed, Boris. This was a banger. Match of the show, possibly match of the weekend. Great job by these three ladies. Amazing match.
It was such a good match. I think it was really well done. And I like kind of how the ending played out, because now you can have a bunch of breakaway stories from this one match.
Exactly. So much you can do from this. And the thing I like about a match like this is it didn't make any of the performers look weak. Like you said, so many branching stories could come from this. It's really like, it's hard to pull off a match, a triple threat match, where all three competitors look better at the end. Even the person who loses, Asuka, put up a heck of a fight. This was really good. And like you said, so many possibilities from here.
All right, Brad, who's oddly enough, we can see Brad, so it's funny that I can see his chat as well. But he asked, was this the match of the night? Question mark.
My opinion, yes. I liked it more than the Hell in the Cell. We'll get into the Hell in the Cell. Not that I dislike that at all, but I thought this was, in my opinion, the match of the night. I thought it was a banger. I thought, everyone performed super well. I thought it was cleverly laid out. They performed it super well. I don't know what else you need me to say. Great match.
Yep. All right. So we'll move on. MVP was talking with Omos when Cedric Alexander showed up. So there you go. We finally get a pay-per-view appearance from Cedric Alexander. Let's all clap for him. MVP told Alexander that the Hurt Business is done. It's no more. It's never coming back. And he said, it's time for you to go. Omos told Alexander.
Yeah, nice to see Cedric Alexander on the pay-per-view. And we would see him again a couple times, Boris. Cedric getting that push.
All right, so Mark does have a poll up and ready. Thank you, Mark, for that, so we can get that going any point, anytime you want. All right, it is the match of the night. While people are voting, I will move forward. Just remember, patreon.com/SNME Radio. This is where you can join and take part in the show. You can have your say as well. All right, match number 2 was Bobby Lashley versus Omos and MVP in the handicap match. This is one of the matches that, honestly, I had no time for. I think that, it's essentially turned into an MVP versus Lashley feud, and I kind of like that dynamic that they've been working with the past few weeks on Raw. Matt, what did you think of the match itself?
Yeah, so positives, Cedric Alexander getting involved in the story. I like that. Bobby Lashley looked really strong. Love some Bobby Lashley. MVP is looking good in the ring, man. He's like a believable, strong old man wrestler. You know what I mean? I like the Bobby Lashley MVP dynamic, the feud they have going on. All of that was good. Negatives. Omos was involved heavily. God bless him. He's a big stiff, but not the best technical wrestling match. But overall, I thought everyone worked very hard. It was okay.
Yep. Matt, I've never asked you this question, so I'm going to ask you here live. Is Omos worse than Giant Gonzalez and Great Khali?
No. How would I rank them? Number 3 is Giant Gonzalez. He was the worst. Khali was better than Gonzalez, I think, slightly. I think Omos is better than both of them, but Khali has a certain charisma, maybe. Also, I don't know. Khali has something about him that Omos does not have, but Omos, I think, is a better
I'm assuming
technical wrestler than Khali, but Gonzalez was the worst, in my opinion. I think that's fair.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things that I did want to call out, actually, and Matthew Smith, thanks for reminding me, and that was what in the promo video, and we saw this a few times over the weekend, and that was MVP's rap that basically told the entire story of this match and of Lashley's career and kind of the story between both MVP and Lashley. So that was a great little callback. Nice little rap, nice little video. So yeah, essentially in this match, Cedric Alexander runs in. He gets clothesline over the top rope by Omos. When Omos turns around, Lashley spears him. Lashley then avoided a running kick from MVP. Gets put in the hurt lock. Bobby Lashley wins in about 8 minutes, 25 seconds.
Not the technically best match you'll ever see. Possibly the worst match on the entire show. But you know what?
Right.
It wasn't that bad.
And then just like many times in NXT, an actual law was broken because Lashley goes to ringside. He grabs a replica belt from a fan, holds it up high. The broadcast team essentially says he's sending a message that he's going to be champion again, but we never saw him give the belt back to the poor fan.
That's hilarious. These belts are expensive. That's not just petty theft, man. That's a real crime. That could be a felony. I don't know. That could be grand larceny or something. I don't know how the law works at all. But yeah, that's a crime for sure.
Yep. All right. Then the broadcast team recaps the Cody Rhodes injury. Graves said that Seth Rollins had to be salivating over the idea of facing a wounded Rhodes. Kevin Owens then makes his entrance. Footage of his issues with Ezekiel aired. We get Owens yelling, "Send Elias out here." This leads us into the third match of the night. Kevin Owens versus Ezekiel.
Ezekiel. I don't get this at all. I'm not watching Raw and SmackDown every week. We watch NXT. I try to watch as much weird stuff and retro stuff as I can. This feud, I don't understand at all. This character, this ultimate Ezekiel, I don't like it. I don't get it. Boris, do you have any explanation for me?
No, it's just a thing that happens. But you know what? Here's the funny part. I think the fans are starting to buy it a little more. I'm seeing a lot of people, I'm not going to say overly talk positive of this, but they're not bad mouthing it. I think people are just having fun with this, which crazy concept, having fun while watching wrestling, right?
That's absurd. Get out of here. You leave this house right now. No, you're in Vancouver.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so that's the thing. This match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So Owens comes back after getting his ass kicked for a little while with a pop-up power bomb. He got a near fall. He started yelling, "You're Elias, admit it." Owens said before pie facing Ezekiel many times with his fist, with his forearms. Ezekiel fired up, put Owens down with a knee strike. He goes to the top rope again, but Owens shut up. He gets crotched on the ropes, Ezekiel that is. Owens then throws a couple of kicks at Ezekiel to knock him off the ropes. He cannonballs him in the corner. He then puts him down with a stunner in 9 minutes, 20 seconds. So Kevin Owens won that bad boy.
Yeah, way better than I was expecting. Kevin Owens and Ezekiel, as it were, had a pretty good match here, man. They really over-delivered, in my humble opinion. And there was a super kick, though. Kevin Owens, while Ezekiel was seated on the turnbuckle, hit him with the super kick that he hit him with that super kick. Like, he kicked this man in the jaw. It was a devastating super kick. Poor Ezekiel for having to take that one. But yeah, great match. Like, I thought it was pretty solid.
Yep, exactly. So that was that. We get a Seth Rollins video package while Peacock was airing its ads. We get a video package recapping the Judgment Day factions feud with AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan, which leads us into a 6-person mixed tag match of Judgment Day, Edge, Rhea Ripley, and Damian Priest versus AJ Styles, Liv Morgan, and Finn Balor.
Yeah, again, as somebody who's not watching Raw every week, this one went a little long for me. Wasn't super into it, but I like the heel Edge. I like the heel Rhea Ripley, the absolutely ageless and timeless AJ Styles, who refuses to like age a day ever for one, like, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, man, this was okay. Went a little long for my taste, in my opinion.
Yep, exactly. So this match, again, I like the wrestlers and kind of the story that they were portraying. Like, you had AJ Styles and Edge just wanting to go at it. You had Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley wanting to go at it, and they did. And then Damian Priest and Finn Balor. So the way that the match started, having that confrontation and all 6 people just going at it, I was a really nice touch.
Absolutely. Yeah. They had their separate stories and they kind of came together. This was not a bad match. I did enjoy it. Yeah. 16 minutes and 8 seconds. 16 minutes and 1 second, according to Wikipedia at this moment. So yeah, it did It did go long. It cracked that 15-minute barrier. You know what I mean? But they put together a really good match, man. Like AJ Styles can still do it.
Exactly. As can Edge, right? Like, I think this was, in my opinion, one of Edge's better performances since his comeback.
Oh, that's bold. Okay, so number one performance has to be the greatest match of all time, which actually was pretty damn good. That was one of Edge's best matches of his career. Other than that, I can't really name you the best Edge performance. So maybe you're onto something there, buddy.
Yep, Brad says it was long, but this show needed a few long matches to get to a 3-hour show. And I suspect, part of me thinks that a lot of matches were actually longer than they were originally supposed to be because of the Hell in a Cell match. I don't think we got the match that we were, actually, it's not that we don't think. We know we didn't get the match we were supposed to, so I'm pretty sure that match was shorter than it actually was. So other matches were a little longer in its place.
It seems like it. It definitely seems like it. And this was one that seemed like they tacked 4 or 5 minutes onto. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, because we kind of got some of the same spots, like we got the 6 people confronting each other again later on in the match. Edge gets tagged in. Balor caught Edge with a kick, but then Priest chokeslammed him. Styles checks in, taken out. Balor hit some of his signature offense on Edge. Then he went to the top rope for the finisher, but this time Ripley stood between him and Edge. Morgan climbed onto the back of Rhea Ripley. They tumbled in onto the floor into the outside. Balor then went for his coup de grace, but Edge moves out of the way, spears him, pins him, gets the win in just over 16 minutes.
Yes. So as we've said numerous times, good match, probably not great in our opinion. Boris, did you notice AJ Styles bleeding like crazy in this match?
Yes. Do you know where that came from?
I have actually no idea. It might have come on. There was a spot where like Edge kind of threw him out of the ring, like through the turnbuckles. It might have been there. I don't quite know exactly where it happened. But yeah, there was like, I didn't even see this, but apparently there was like a pool of blood outside. Like AJ was bleeding bad in this match near the end.
Matthew Smith's love for Cody is just oozing in the chat. I love it so much so I'm going to read his latest comment. And he said, as we were talking about other matches being extended, he said, yeah, they didn't allow Cody to stab himself in the forehead and then dive through a flaming table from the top of the cage.
How are you going to have a good match if you can't repeatedly cut your forehead and then dive through a flaming table? They are shoehorning Cody into a box. It's unfair. Let the man cook.
Exactly. All right. Bobby Lashley was then shown walking backstage. He comes across Cedric Alexander. Lashley asked him what happened. Alexander said it wasn't for Lashley. It was for him because he was tired of the way he was being treated. Alexander spoke of becoming his own man. Lashley then told him he has to stand up for himself and said he's proud of him. But then he said, never interfere in one of my matches again. And then bump fists eventually.
I really like that little bit of personality from Bobby Lashley, which you don't often see, dare I say, but yeah, good to see Cedric Alexander on camera. I remember Cedric Alexander versus Kota Ibushi. I remember the Cruiserweight Classic. He tore it up. This man is great. Push Cedric Alexander and also the other Cruiserweights.
Exactly. Yeah, that some could say that, but that's probably not going to happen. All right. The match that we were all waiting for, the match I was waiting for, the match you were waiting for, the match Matthew Smith was waiting for, the match Chris Gaskin was waiting for, the match Larry Medeiros was waiting for, and that's Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss in a no-holds-barred match. Number one, did anyone know that this was actually a no-holds-barred match before they started breaking rules and the DQ wasn't called? Brad says him. I love the fact that Brad said him.
Simply because the only reason I knew anything about the show is because I read it off of Wiki beforehand. And so the no holds barred stip really helped this match. This was pretty great. They pulled a great match out here.
Yep, exactly. I like that. Right? You know what, Matt, your internet's infuriating me right now. But the show will go on. So yeah, this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Corbin's teasing of going under the ring, grabbing and touching a table and then putting it down just to get that heat from the crowd was brilliant. I absolutely love that. When we talk to Mike in a little bit, I want to get his reaction on some of these matches and some of these spots specifically. Actually, Mike's around right now. Mike, are you ready to come and chat?
Oh, God, I hope so. I don't know if my connection is going to be any better, dude, because I am still in the parking lot of the Allstate Arena right now, where I thought that they would have a lot better. Anyway, I am going to just camp out here and talk to you. What's going on? How's everybody feeling about the show?
Yeah, I think overall, so far, it's been a pretty positive reception. Sorry? I think we're losing Mike. We're losing Mike already. All right, Mike, we'll get back to you in a little bit.
Sorry, guys.
This is the greatest show ever. Of course, the one that I lead is when everything and everyone's internet seems to crash and I'm halfway across the country. All right, so so this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Brad, SNME versus the internet feud of the year. Exactly. All right. So again, this match was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Madcap Moss, we're seeing an evolution here, and I am starting to suspect that they are really going to push him somewhere.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, he seems like the type of wrestler that Vince McMahon would love, and obviously he's getting a lot of play lately. Beat Baron Corbin clean in the middle with a devastating finish.
Oh, Boris.
In this match. So yeah, for sure. This was the performance of Madcap Moss's career, man.
Exactly. So Corbin throws a chair and Moss into the ring. He grabs the bottom piece of the ring steps, brings it inside. Corbin leans the steps in the corner. Moss stuffed whatever move Corbin was going for. He then gave him a fallaway slam onto the steps. Here's the end of the match, which was a really, really cool end. All things considered, for all 10 of you who watch SmackDown, and for all 200 plus of you who listen to the Smack Daddies, Moss performs his punchline neckbreaker. Moss wrapped a chair around the neck of Corbin and then slammed the ring steps onto him before pinning him, getting the win. After the match, EMTs tend to Corbin while Moss celebrates his win, kind of a throwback to what started off this entire feud.
Yeah, you had to bookend the feud. You had to bookend the match. I thought it was pretty good, man. Like, way better than anybody had any right to expect. The performance of Madcap Moss's career, and who knows how strong Vince McMahon's going to push this guy, because seems to be a WWE type wrestler.
Yep. I think that's exactly it. Now, Matt, I have a question for you, and that is the feud over, or are we going to get an ambulance/stretcher match?
Oh, no. I didn't even think of that. It seems like a good place to blow this feud off. I bet you they're going to give us an ambulance match, though.
Boris, now it's you that's frozen. Matthew, are you still there? Is
still
anybody
here.
Still here?
I'm ready to go, man. I'm still here.
Brad, do you want to jump in?
Can you guys hear me?
There you are. You're back. Hi,
All
Boris.
right.
Nice to have you back.
This is infuriating.
So you guys hear
did we
me?
answer that? Sorry.
Oh, this is a comedy of errors. What's happening right now? And then Mike's coming in. Can you hear me? Yeah, we can hear you, Mike. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I found a good spot in this parking lot. So, questions, fire at him.
All right. We have 2 more matches. We'll get through those matches. I hope we can actually do this. We have Theory versus
I'm paying
Mustafa.
data charges in the U.S. right now. Come on.
All right. Okay. So you're working. All right. Let's talk to Mike. All right. So Mike, number 1, I got to ask you about the main event. How was the reaction when Cody took off his jacket and you actually saw how bad his arm was?
It was brutally uncomfortable. As you know, we broke the story on Sunday night's main event this morning with Dave Meltzer. I'd heard pec tear. I was like, okay, so maybe he's got a little bruise. Maybe it's a little banged up. He looked like he had been tenderized, like to the point where anybody watching the match, and the couple next to me, we were kind of talking all show. Legit, we were completely mortified when he took his coat off and saw that injury. Like, it's insane. So we have an uncomfortable feeling throughout the entire match, but at the same time, the more it goes on, the more we're like, we can't believe this is still going on. So I don't know if that's what it was like for you watching at home, but I'll tell you right now, here that was the general consensus was, oh my God, how is he doing all this?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how it was at home. I think a lot of people at home were kind of just like in shock and awe, and I'm sure that's how it was there. And on TV, the beginning of the match kind of sounded a little less crazy. Like, I think people were just like, end this match. This match needs to end. And then as the match went on, I think people just got behind everything. But there were some audible cheers for Seth Rollins in the match.
Well, people really wanted a table. And when we didn't get it in the Madcap Moss match, which I know you guys were just talking about, when we didn't get the table spot, people were pissed. And I thought, okay, well, in my head, this is a WWE show. That means we're getting tables in the cage match. So when the tables came out, that's what the fans were really popping for. I don't know how it sounded at home. I will say that this crowd was white hot for 95% of this card. I can now say I've seen a wrestling show in Chicago, and boy, do I see why they keep coming back here, because fans were completely engaged. Yes, there were a little bit of quiet moments during that Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin match. But the funny thing about that match is that the most time they were quiet was when it was supposed to be the real fire up moments. Like they hit all the weapon spots and everything, and the crowd cheered. But the one moment where Madcap was supposed to be fired up and laying all these fists in, people were just kind of like, okay, get back to hitting each other with stuff. So Chicago is very much a hit people with stuff crowd too.
Yeah, honestly, you can tell that the crowd was hot throughout the entire night. It really came off clear on TV. Dude, even in the kickoff show, you can hear the crowd just like getting louder and louder and louder, to the point where I thought something was going on. Like, it was so weird to, like, everyone was just ready, it seemed.
You know what the funny thing is? They do this now, and I don't know if it was just a way to get the fans fired up, but they opened the doors at 5:30. The show was announced to start at 6:30. So they had probably a solid 85% of the crowd already in their seats. But the show obviously didn't start until 7, as most pay-per-views do, or whenever it was started on the East Coast, 8 o'clock, I guess. So they had a lot of bodies in place already. One thing that's universal, and I've been to shows everywhere. I've been to shows across Canada, across the US now. And there's one universal truth. That is that everybody freaking loves to woo before a show.
Yes.
Just woo, woo, woo all over the place. And so the crowd was already excited. You walk in, the cell is already down. So you're like, holy shnikes, that's the cell. That was impressive. But then they do this little thing where they fire up the lights and they make the lights just move a little bit. And every time the lights moved, it was very Pavlovian. The crowd would just get fired up immediately again, because I guess they thought something was happening for a half an hour, but nothing happened for a half an hour. But every time those lights went, people went nuts. So they've got that part figured out.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. It's funny because like Matt, he assumed, and I'm sure other people did, that the cell was going to open the show, but I told him, and I'm like, look, it's just for effect, for dramatic effect. Got the crowd hot, and you can tell what you just said about the lights. You can kind of see that in the background of the kickoff show, and then the cell went up, and you kind of like knew that. All right, it's getting closer to the show.
It's not just that though. They have, like, WWE has found a way to make money off of everything. There's a company. I met a girl named Lori today. She works for a company called On Location, and they sell basically tourism packages to WWE shows that come with VIP entrance, superstar meet and greet, photo shoot. Sometimes there's pre-show catering, all these things. And one of those packages actually comes with the opportunity to have your photo taken next to the cell. Next to the cell. It was pretty cool seeing all these people get these meet and greets and then get a picture next to the cell. So, I mean, I don't know if I would pay as much money as what they're charging for it. I heard some astronomical numbers, but it was still pretty cool. I did buy a chair off of a guy tonight who paid much more money than I did for my seat. And so I've got my souvenir tonight because the I Was There shirts are all sold out. That's good.
I was going to ask you that. Like, talk to me about the merch lines. Like, what was sold out? I know that they do show exclusive shirts for especially premium live events. So I'm sure those were gone right away. But how were the lines?
Actually, here's the funny thing. The merch lines were long. That's why I didn't bother trying to get a shirt the first couple times. And of course, the end of the show, the one I wanted was sold out. But I posted a photo of this on the SNME Facebook page, and 90% of the shirts that were for sale before the show, those people weren't here. Like, there's a Chicago 316 shirt, and Steve Austin was not here tonight. There was a lot of RK Bro shirts and hoodies and different RK Bro shirts. Riddle was not even here. No Becky stuff, which fine, she's a heel. Only one Cody shirt, which is the one with Pharaoh and the crown and the skull, and I like to call it the beautiful disaster shirt because I love Cody, but I hate that shirt. And then honestly, like just weird stuff like Alexa Bliss pop vinyls and again stuff for people that weren't on the show tonight, but people still lined up in droves for it. I saw a lot of Bloodline shirts in the crowd. A lot of Bloodline shirts. They were not selling the Bloodline shirt tonight. Actually, no, that's not true. They were, but a lot of people came wearing one already. So that means they've been when WWE was through before with the Bloodline. Because man, there were tons of them.
Yeah, I can imagine that that's a really hot seller. Okay, we got 2 more matches to get to. Let's go through them because I do have a question about this next match, and that was Theory versus Mustafa Ali for the U.S. Championship. The best wrestler out of Chicago currently, Mustafa Ali. How was the hometown reaction for him?
Huge. I don't know if everybody knew that he was from Chicago at first. I will say this, WWE fans in Chicago are WWE fans. We tend to live in this bubble, I think, where, only AEW fans are really passionate fans. These fans were pretty hot and pretty passionate about seeing WWE live. Now, when Ali came out to the hometown introduction with the hometown shirt on, sporting the Bulls colors, and he's got the flag, that beautiful Chicago flag on his gear, there was actually some hope that he might actually win this thing tonight. And he did not, which again, just why WWE can't you just have him lose it tomorrow night on Raw? You're in Green Bay, Wisconsin then. Have him lose it in Green Bay, but tonight, give the kid his shot. And give the kid, I think we're the same age. Anyway, but no, I mean, the response was great. The match was amazing. I called it before the show. This was a sleeper match that if you're a technical wrestling fan, you probably really enjoyed. Crowd didn't know what to make of some of it because they were going pretty fast. Like, they were going really fast. In fact, there was one guy who brought, I believe, his grandson with him, surprised him, like 10 years old. And they just saw the billboard on the side of the road, so to speak. And, he surprised him and said, "Oh, look, wrestling's in town. We should go." It turns out they planned this for months. But, he had never been to a wrestling show. He'd never been to a WWE show. And when Theory and Ali got in the ring, it was magic. He was like, wow, these guys work fast. So they were having a blast. But,
Yeah, this for sure was one of those sleeper hits of the night. So, we alluded to it. Ali went for a 450 splash. Theory rolls out of the way. He chop blocks the bad knee that he was working through the match on Ali. Theory then hoisted up Ali, gave him the ATL, then pinned him clean for the win in about 10 minutes, 25 seconds to retain the U.S. Championship. So any hope that anyone had for the hometown guy getting a win, well, welcome to WWE.
You know what? It wasn't that bad though, because it was a great match. It was a great match, and you know, they had a couple close calls, a couple really solid near falls. I think that, you know, being a fan in the know too much sometimes ruins it for us, because we already automatically think, yeah, WWE, exactly what you said. Welcome to WWE. But I wouldn't be surprised if they keep this feud going, because I don't know what happens next for either guy right now. I don't see anybody waiting in the wings to take on, you know, like, is Ciampa going to be an issue again? That's what I honestly thought was going to happen. If they were going to do anything, they were going to have Ciampa screw Ali out of the match tonight, but that didn't even happen. So I don't know where they go, but I could see this being another pay-per-view match down the road.
Yeah, agreed with you 100%. All right, main event time. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Hell in a Cell. All right, Seth Rollins comes out. He has his jacket on. He takes off the jacket, only to reveal yellow polka dots. Mike, how was the reaction for that?
Well, for those of us that knew, it was, oh my God.
Yep.
A lot of people didn't seem fully aware.
Exactly.
Which is fine. Again, guys, we've been watching wrestling for a longer time than we want to admit. So it was a moment for parents, for example, to explain to their kids, or husbands to explain to their wives, or wives to explain to their husbands what this meant, why this was significant. But for those of us that knew, it was pretty amazing.
Yep. So commentary did mention that these are the colors like worn by his dad. So the commentary did a good job, at least for the people at home. But like you said, like, it's one of those things sometimes. It's like, how inside can you go? But at the same time, those Easter eggs, for those of us who have been watching for 30 years or more, you know, I always like those. One or two of them is all right. A little, like, when your entire show is based off of that, it gets a little too much for me.
Yeah, but that's just it. It was fine. And honestly, it was great. I knew the way he was dancing out, he was going to have some sort of big reveal. And sure enough, when I saw the polka dots, I just about died. He's doing all the dusty shucks and jives in the ring, and all the dancing and everything. And it was really, really nicely done. When we broke the story this morning about Cody's pec, I don't know if you guys saw, but later on in the day, WWE finally confirmed. I don't know why they waited so long, because I mean, it's not like you couldn't freaking see the thing. Were they going to try and hide it? Like, I maybe if Cody wore a shirt, but I mean, that automatically made it more. Then Cody comes out, like you said, the jacket comes off, like you said, and everybody feels brutally uncomfortable for the first little bit, and I'm sure it reflected on TV as well, because yeah, we were like cringing and wincing in pain.
I was rolling around. I'm like, I can't watch this. This hurts me. This hurts me a lot just to watch him go through this. Like, to the point where even before he took off his jacket and he's doing his entrance, he gets on the top rope and he can barely lift his right arm. And at that point, I'm like, holy crap, like, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. How is he even doing this?
I think a lot of it is a look worse than it is situation, because it looks pretty freaking bad. But I do think that a lot of it was also just solid wrestling selling from Cody. I think that he knew what his limitations were going in. He's not an idiot. You know, we keep thinking that he's this masochistic, person. And maybe he has the Mick Foley thing. I said this to somebody in the crowd tonight, where he just doesn't feel the pain the way that normal people do. But I think he was well in control of what he was doing. But yeah, it's still just, it looked. So, like, talk about instant sympathy for your baby face. I mean, there's no way you couldn't be cheering for Cody by the end of this thing.
Yeah, another spot I want to ask you about the reaction, and that was the pedigree. So Seth Rollins goes for pedigree. Cody reverses it, puts on a pedigree of his own. I honestly wish that was the end of the match.
Well, if 900, Crossroads weren't the finisher, why would the pedigree be? That's
true.
That's the.
I also think all wrestling logic went out the door with this match. Like, I feel like this match was such a special case that anything could have been the end to this match.
I mean, it would have been a 9-star match in AEW, but as far as the finish is, like, I hate it when the Crossroads gets misused, that kicked out of, because it is such a great finisher. But they hit each other with everything, and I think that was the point here. I don't know what else they could have done to each other. I was surprised there was no blood, just because Cody was in there. But at the same time, it's WWE, so they try really hard not to do that. But as for the pedigree spots themselves, first, as soon as Seth grabs the sledgehammer, everybody sees the shot. It's like, ooh, it's something. But then when he goes for the pedigree and then it gets reversed and Cody hits it picture perfect, and Seth takes it flat as a board. I mean, it just looked so good. It looked so good. And if you're a Cody from AEW fan, if you're a WWE fan, if you're a Triple H fan, I think that you left with, all your boxes checked in that moment, because it was pretty great. And the crowd was pretty hot for it. Crowd was hot forever. Once we got into it,
the crowd was white hot. Yeah.
Once we got into it, there was no way to not be cheering. Like, it was just like, holy God, this is still going on. Yep,
exactly. That's exactly how I felt with the match. And so, both men are racing for the sledgehammer. Cody's arm wins the race, but his arm gives out. Rollins picks up the sledgehammer. Cody kicks him. He then hits 2 more crossroads. He teased going for a third, but he opts to pick up the sledgehammer. He hits Rollins, pins him, gets the win in 24 minutes, 20 seconds. Cody Rhodes wins with a horrific-looking injury, and that was the match. That was the night. The cameras kind of stayed on Cody celebrating, but they kind of went, everything went to dark when he was still in the ring. Mike, what happened after cameras went off?
After cameras went off, Cody stayed in the ring for a bit. I do have video of it, and he did a thank you speech, but he made a point, I thought it was very fascinating. Cody made a point to say that nobody made him go into the match tonight. He was not coerced. He was not told that he had to be in there. In fact, I'm sure they probably tried to talk him out of it. But he made a point to say, like, nobody forced me to do this match tonight. But he said, he followed it up with, there was no way I was going to miss this. You paid your money and I was going to deliver. And I mean, typical babyface pop, but I really do believe, and it can be a little egotistical, but I truly do believe that Cody sees himself as the top guy right now on that brand for sure. And why not? I think he earned a lot of respect tonight from fans, both in the building and watching at home. He's probably going to explain this a little more tomorrow, he said. So I'm not sure what is going to be, what's going to be said, what's going to be revealed, but maybe it's a small rehab. Maybe it's not as brutal as we think it is, but I get there's a lot of Cody detractors out there, and I can see why, because he's a different dude. He's a really different dude, but you can't deny what he put on in that ring tonight. Him and Seth Rollins put on a fantastic match. And I don't know how you guys felt about the show, but for everybody in the building, I had the good fortune of being on the hard camera side, so you could see, where I was sitting from time to time. But the problem with that is WWE has added this to their TV productions. There's a clock now underneath the actual hard cam. So for the whole night, I could see exactly what time it was, which I'm not used to. I'm used to just kind of the show just going, but at no time did I feel like the show was dragging. And I don't know how it felt for you guys, but we were constantly going.
Yep, I got it. Honestly, it was a fine show. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed, again, it was under 3 hours, just 3 hours. You can't, after last weekend, congrats. Thank you. Gracias.
Yeah. No, and that's
so. One last thing before we kind of get to the results of the poll. I'm sure you talked to people during the show, after the show. I guess other people enjoyed the match or the show live.
Oh, absolutely. I did try and get some people, but I mean, this parking lot's a zoo, man. Like, it was it was kind of crazy, and everybody was just either trying to get out or, just not having it. But I can say that a lot of fans left here ridiculously happy. And you asked about merch lines before. When you leave a wrestling show and the merch line is still 150 people deep at more than one stand, that means a good show happened. When the I Was There shirts are gone, that means a good show happened. When Mike McGuire pays $140 US for your Hell in a Cell chair because he really wants a souvenir, it was a good show.
Yep.
And that's what happened. So, yeah.
So I think it's safe to say WWE is doing just fine business-wise. All right, Mark, can you bring up the results of the poll? What was everyone's match of the night? All right, the winner with 50% of the votes was Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Becky Lynch in the women's triple threat match for the Raw Women's Championship match. Madcap versus Happy Corbin got 13% of the votes, and Cody versus Seth, 13%. And Cody versus Seth got 38% of the vote. So there you go. That's basically how it wrapped up and looked.
I got to say, and because I didn't join you for the first part of the show here, that's absolutely correct. The women's match was unbelievable. Part of the reason I talked to you guys about this off the air, that I wanted to go to this show, was to see Asuka live. I've never had the chance to see her live. And I got to tell you, those three were tight. Like, it was just such a well-oiled match, or a well-executed match. They functioned like a well-oiled machine. It was unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And I can't wait to see what happens next for that feud, because, man, they're just so good. They're just so good. I can't overstate how good those three women were together in that match.
Oh yeah, we were praising that match. I think a lot of other people were praising that match. For me, what's cool is that this is now 2 pay-per-views in a row where Roman Reigns doesn't defend his belt, and he wasn't even on this show at all, and things just seemed fine. Things seemed fluid. There was a time, like this time last year, where you couldn't fathom not having a show without Roman Reigns, because who's going to be on the card? Who's going to main event? So I kind of like that dynamic as well.
His name is Cody Rhodes. That's who it is. And if you watch the show tonight, I think that a solid case can be made now. I think that Seth Rollins, in this Seth freaking Rollins character, has finally come into his own. It took a long time, but you know what? Sometimes that's the way it is. Sometimes, look at Becky. How long did it take her to actually become great?
Yep.
She was always good, but in the fans' eyes, she was never great until it finally happened. So Rollins has found his niche. He's got a good foil in Cody now. If these two ever flip sides and Cody's the heel and Rollins is the face, that sets up your automatic I've never beaten you match. I mean, there's tons of play here. WWE is in a state where they need to build some big names now. They don't have a lot going on as far as top of the card goes, but I see it changing. And again, I'm the optimist usually in these things. I love it. I will say this, and this will probably get some hate mail, but I don't care. I did talk to a couple fans because I wanted to know how many AEW shows they had been to. And I talked to some people in line at different places. And, for as much love as there is for AEW, and AEW puts on great wrestling shows too. But here's something you don't often hear until you ask people. And that is, you know what? AEW is just not my thing.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people saying that. Again, I like wrestling. Wrestling's wrestling. I'll watch anything. But I was interested to hear that because I've never heard that before.
I've heard it from casual fans. Like, I have friends who watch wrestling. They watch WWE. They'll watch the occasional ROH show before. They've watched the occasional AEW show, and they say just that. It's not for them. Sometimes they say it's too too much for them. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's a direct quote from one friend. So I get that, right? And this is part of the issue is attracting that casual fan. But this isn't turning into a WWE versus AEW debate. All right, let's open it up for those.
So the reason I bring it up, Boris, isn't to turn it into a debate.
Yeah.
It's. I think I'm trying to give flowers here to WWE for what they do as well, because we still got to remember it's. For as much as wrestling fans, we can get frustrated with WWE. We get frustrated because we love wrestling. We love it.
Exactly.
You get a good show like tonight, then it's a good reason to celebrate. So that's why I bring it up, is only because, you would think that this was wrestling country galore and people wouldn't choose sides, but they do. And WWE is doing just fine.
Exactly. That I agree with you 100%. I just meant in general, people are going to start reading into what we're saying a little too much. So anyways, for those of you in the Zoom room, raise your hands. I see a few hands up. For those of you on YouTube, you can be part of this show. All you have to do is go to patreon.com/SNME radio, and you can sign up for just over $1 a week. You get a show every single day, and you can be part of Justice. And we have another after party coming at you this month, and that is on June 26th, right after Forbidden Door, AEW, Cross, New Japan Pro Wrestling. You can be part of the show. All right, I see a few hands up. Mark, who do we got?
We got Tom. Tom is on his way. He's just traveling through the internet.
All
Is he
right.
disrobing?
What's that, Mike?
Is he disrobing?
I hope he is. Tom, come on up, Tom.
I got time for one question, and then I'm going to go, because I legit think costing me about $1,000 right now. So
Yeah,
Probably.
about that, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right.
So Tom,
We
if
still
you're
have
there,
Matt.
I want to know from
Brad.
now's your time.
You need to start your video and unmute, Tom. The first one is always a little slow. You know what I mean? The first caller is always a little slow, and then
Just like our
everybody gets it.
internet.
Yeah, just like our internet.
But we're all
today.
good. We're all good right now.
Doing just audio. I don't know. Good question, Chris. That's probably smart.
I'm not seeing your video there, Tom, but if you want to unmute, you can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Chris's suggestion. I'll stick around for a little longer. I'm gonna stop my video though. So
Nice.
I'm here. I'm up in the corner somewhere.
Hi,
Hey,
Tom.
Tom. There you are.
I see
I
me
see ya.
somewhere up in the corner.
Yeah, I see you.
Uh,
Nice to see you, bro.
So what
How's it
I
going,
think,
Tom? What do you have to say about tonight's show or anything in general when it pertains to professional wrestling?
So what I think is, for the pre-show, like one host, maybe one or two panelists, so they're not fighting over each other. Get their point across. Maybe people actually tune into the actual event. For the actual event, I have to say that the women's match really spoiled the event for me, because after that, I really could not get as hyped as that first match was, and Asuka stole the show for me, at least.
Agreed. Asuka was a part of that match. She took a lot of the beatings. She was a part of every major move, every major spot. Asuka was the MVP of that match. That match was the match of the night for me. She was the main MVP of the entire show.
I have to agree with Tom and Boris and everybody who said that that's the way to go. In fact, after that match finished, my legit thought was, how are they going to follow this? And I think that's what the women set out to do. It's like, if you're not putting me on last, put me on first, and then try and keep up. And that's a great example of what you want to see on a wrestling show.
Yep, exactly.
So the whole Superman Cody stuff is going to probably turn him heel, because this is the kind of match where him going 3-0 probably will turn people off, because how can a guy that injured go over a guy like Seth Rollins, even if it is.
I agree with you here, Tom, only because I was there and I kind of thought the same thing. Like, there were some people that were a little boo towards Cody at the start when he came out, because you were having that kind of Cena thing. But by the end of that match, and I can speak for myself, but I can speak for everybody in the building there. Usually after a show, people leave. I remember being at Mania 18, and for anybody that was there, everybody knew what was coming in the Jericho Triple H match. If you remember, half of Skydome was gone by the end of that match.
Yep.
When this show ended, I would say that maybe 1,000 people at the most had left the building. Maybe. Because everybody wanted to hear what Cody had to say after the match. Nobody wanted to leave. So I think right now he's still doing fine. You might be right, though, Tom. Down the road, it might get a little annoying, but I think people are still all in for the Cody Rhodes ride.
Okay. Yeah. And then for the AEW WWE thing, basically, even for me, as a guy who went out and watches basically all kinds of wrestling, to watch AEW, I have to basically reprogram my thinking of wrestling, because there isn't a babyface heel, cheer this guy, boo this guy. This is how you should think and do that. So it's a lot more for the fans. And you have to really change your mindset away from WWE if you want to get into AEW.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I know people who kind of do the same, right? Like, I know, like, it's so hard for us sometimes to remember that because we're so deep into it, especially those of us on the host side, right? Like, oftentimes it's just like it's automatic, right? But I can for sure see some of the more casual viewers like yourself and others where they kind of have to flip a switch depending on what company they're watching.
I'll give you this thought here, Tom, and then we'll say thanks unless you got anything else. But I think that when it comes to watching AEW versus watching WWE, two things need to happen. Like you said, you need to reorganize your thinking a bit, be open to everything. And I think the other thing you need to do, especially when you're watching an AEW pay-per-view, is nap well before, prepare much food, and possibly leave an in case of emergency number, because you never know if the thing's ever going to freaking end. But it's overall, no, man, I think you're absolutely right. If people just will admit that they liking things, and as much as we complain, we like wrestling, then I think life would be a lot more enjoyable. So, Tom, thank you, my brother.
Yep,
so
thanks, Tom.
All I have
so
to
much.
say is, Mike, stay safe out there, and I hope you get home soon, or
Thanks,
whenever
bud.
you decide to get home. And have a great night, boys.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks so much, Tom. All right, Mark, who is next? I think it's Chris Gaskin.
Chris Gaskin's on his way through the internet to our eyes and ears.
This is honestly why I'm staying on, Chris, is just to talk to you. So thank you very much for sticking around.
Yeah, my internet's fine. I'm just messing with you.
Get
I'm such
off.
a dick.
Angry Agnes showing up. That's it. You're out. No, I'm joking. How's it going, man?
It's good. It's good. I thought this show was really a 3-match show, which I kind of thought it was heading into it. But I thought those matches were so strong, especially the women's match.
So Ezekiel and Kevin Owens, what were your other two?
Madcap.
No, those were all 3. It were just those 2 guys. It was those 2 guys and the ref, all 3.
You right there, Mike?
I'm fine. I'm just dying a slow death here. All good.
All right, what's going on, Chris?
I mean, listen, I respect Cody Rhodes before this, but man, can I not commend more that dude's performance tonight, all things considered. Just the gasp that the audience let out when he took off the jacket. And I was texting my buddy, and we were both discussing, like, man, maybe he should not be wrestling tonight. Like, yes, it's the only Hell in a Cell match on the card, but they could figure something out and change something, because, like, you just fear that he's going to do more damage to it
Well,
than
honestly, Chris, that's what everybody was thinking. I think that's why we were all so quiet at the beginning, because until he actually started taking repeated blows at it and you realize, okay, this is still wrestling, they're agreeing to do this to each other, then it felt okay to cheer for it. But yeah, man, you hit the nail right on the head. That was not a piped in gasp.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, man, that crowd was like on fire tonight. That opening match, I really think, as great as Cody and Seth were, especially the performances, considering. I mean, if you take out the injury from that match, the match would have been much better than it was. But for what they had to work with, I mean, they did an incredible job. But I just think that triple threat women's match, like the fact that it was first on the show and it took almost 2 matches for that crowd to reset after that, like those ladies just blew things out of the water.
I know a lot of the other guys like to do this on a regular basis and throw it out, but I have not said this once this year, but that is on my match of the year list. That is definitely on my match of the year list because I was absolutely blown away by it.
Yep, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you guys, all the patrons are gonna be hearing that one on the BAM 122 list at some point this year because that match was just amazing.
It was incredible, and I mean, you know, we've already seen how Bianca and Becky can work together, and throwing Asuka into the match, and that woman might be one of the best bell-to-bell wrestlers in the world, period. Like, she's so good, you know, and I'm glad I got to see her live at least once going to shows because, yeah, she's incredible. And both those other women are incredible too. Like, they all had great chemistry. Like, just, I honestly, after that match, I was like, the rest of the show could suck and I'll still be glowing about how great this match was.
Yep. I was nervous. For the rest of the show. Sean Kay. Now I feel bad about falling asleep during the women's match. No fault to the match. Honestly, go back and watch it. It's going to blow you away. Such a good match. Watch
the entire show. And I want to ask you guys this because I don't know if it comes across on TV. In fact, I don't think it does. But I think they've been doing this more lately. There were times where whoever was wrestling, especially Becky, was really good at it. But there were a few other people who were really good at it as well. And they would take these moments and they would just work the crowd with a glance. They would work the crowd with just a quick little look, a quick little nod. And we were all in on it. Like, it was amazing.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is one of those things too, when you look at, you know, the current crop of people that are going to come out of the performance center, they aren't going to have those years of performing on the indies where they're going to know to do that though. And I think that's a problem coming up in WWE's future, that when you have people who are already wrestling 6-7 years heading into the WWE, like Becky, like Asuka, I mean, you know, something can be said for how good Baron Corbin is at being a heel for, you know, a guy who's come up through that system. Like, that guy, he gets crapped on so much, and I think it's unjustified just because he is an incredible heel. And,
you know who he gets crapped on by? He gets crapped on by people who think they're smarter than the business. This guy is a genius.
Yeah.
This guy is a genius at what he does. And the fact that he's got the so-called, quote, smart fans thinking that he sucks, dude, that's the ultimate heel. When you can work the smart fans, done.
Look at today. Goes for a table, says nah. You know, like, and that drew, at least from TV, you can tell it drew atomic heat. Like, you can't teach that stuff anywhere. I mean, anywhere.
It drew so much heat that when Seth finally pulled out a table, the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Seth." So, I mean, like, that's a level of heat that when the heel in the next match is getting popped for doing something, like, he is an incredible heel. Not the greatest wrestler, but as far as like being a worker in the ring and working the crowd, I mean, I love watching that dude work.
He understands the intangibles, right? He understands those things
Yeah.
that you just either get or you don't, and he gets them.
Chris, it was great seeing you, man. I'm gonna go so you and Boris can keep the chat. I know that Matt's still here as well, Matt Ederer. So I'll let you guys go. But thank you for letting me chime in live here from Allstate. It was an amazing experience. I gotta say, if you've never seen wrestling in Chicago, make it a destination. Do it. I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, whatever. But see wrestling in Chicago. It is a trip. It was amazing. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Enjoy.
Thanks for reporting live. We'll chat soon. Keep safe, drive safe.
I haven't seen you.
All right, Chris, you got anything else?
I mean, like I said, it's I went into this all joking aside. Now that Mike isn't going to derail it, when I said I thought it was 3-match show. I thought the women's match, Theory and Mustafa Ali in the main event. And even knowing what was going on heading into that main event, I mean, that was my thought going into the weekend. And then hearing what was going on with Cody and this pack, with that, like that match blew me away just because of what was going on. But, you know, those matches were so good that even the slight down points on the card, and it's not even like it was bad, because it was good. It just wasn't up to the level of those 3 matches. Like it was still a fun time. I give the show a thumbs up. You know, it was a nice brisk 3 hours compared to that AEW show last weekend, which I mean, I enjoyed as well, but good God, was I tired halfway through that? At this, there wasn't a single point where I was tired or specifically bored or anything. You know, they put together a good show with half their roster not there. And I hope they can just keep a streak of this going on.
Yep. And this is the thing, right? I know we say this a lot, but I have to say it again. WWE has this weird thing where TV is TV. TV isn't the best, right? But you can always count on their premium live events, their pay-per-views, whatever you want to call them, to be good. You know, they've been on a pretty good streak. WrestleMania, I think, surprised everybody. You know, today obviously surprised a lot of people. So again, this is kudos to the performers actually going out there when they have time to wrestle, put on a show. That's exactly what they do. So, you know,
that's the thing too, right?
Say?
They gave, it was only 7 matches, and even though it was 3 hours, they gave a lot of those matches time. And I mean, especially the women's match in the main event, I think you could have cut 5 minutes off that main event and it would have been just as good. And again, I'm just saying that because I don't want Cody to have more damage done than is already done. But I mean, like, yeah, when you give wrestlers who are competent at what they do time to work, you tend to get good matches. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, exactly. That's
2-minute TV matches that are so fun.
That's the thing, right? It's just such a comparison getting, you know, a 5-minute match. Or let's be realistic. Sometimes you get 6 minutes on TV with a commercial. You get maybe 2 minutes of actual TV time. And, you know, that's our exposure to them. And then they put on these awesome matches. So it's so much fun. And J-Dub, how strange is it to be complimenting Happy Corbin? Well, let's be honest, you know, he's not the best in-ring performer, but like we said, he gets it. He gets those things.
He's a worker. He works the audience, and he is top tier when it comes to that.
Yep. All right, Chris, do you have anything else before we move on?
The only thing, like Mike was saying when he said, like, go to, you know, Chicago, I think really just go to any live wrestling performance, those WWE live shows where they give the guys time to work in the ring and you get to see it. Like, it's well worth it. So, yeah, that's it for me. Thank you. Very nice. Good.
Thanks so much, Chris. We'll talk
Now
to
I'm
you,
cutting out,
hopefully.
but it's my brain, not my internet. Thanks very much, boys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Chris. I'm sure we'll chat after Forbidden Door. All right, I see Greg from the Peg is up next. Hey, Greg.
Yo, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? What you think of tonight's show?
There's going to be one topic only. That is the most gruesome injury that I have ever seen in wrestling.
Yep. For sure.
One of the commentators, I can't recall which one, said that he might be 50%. He's not 50%. That's 30. That's 30% in my book. He should never ever have gone out like that.
Yep.
That's
it's one of those
scary.
things,
That's scary because I'm saying he has literally no oxygen in that pec and in that arm and in that shoulder. So that's basically dead right there. That's why I say that's his final wrestling match for 2022. I'll be shocked to see him at Survivor Series in the fall. I think he's probably done until Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, in my eyes.
Yeah, so it depends, right? It depends, like, if it's a full, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know. Like, is it operation? Is it rehab? Hopefully we find out a little more over the next little bit.
That's an operation that you need to literally get all of the dead oxygen out of there. Okay, Biggie, I see Biggie dropped on his neck. Thank you. Okay. I know that injury, but this is like way up there. I'll say I know some of this message about Big E stuff. I'm thinking, okay, I see your point, and I'll take that point. So I say, I'll be up around the tied for first right now, but I think it's a combination of operation and rehab in my view. So 4 to 6 months, Chris has said, I think that he's out for that amount of time and even more in that, because they had to take out all the dead oxygen and the dead blood flow out of the pack, and then redo the pack and then rehab and stuff in my view. So
yeah, it's gonna be a while. I think it will, like, personally, I think it will be a while. I think we'll hear an interview tomorrow from him, a promo to start the show, and we'll see what he says, and we'll see how long he's gone for. My whole prediction about him winning Money in the Bank and then winning the belt on July 4th might be out the. Yep, that's out the window. That's done.
SummerSlam out the window. He's not being. I'll be shocked if he's in Nash Vegas in my view.
Yep. All right, so Brad used the Google machine, and he's asked it, how long should recovery take for a torn pec muscle? Low-grade tears, 4 to 6 weeks to recover. High-grade tears can take 3 to 4 months. He said
that's a high-grade tear.
Yep. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. None of us are doctors. We don't know. We're not there. So, yeah. Just remember, if anyone else wants to join, just raise your hand. All right, Greg. So thanks so much for chiming in, giving us your thoughts. Make sure to come back after Forbidden Door.
Okay, will do. Ciao.
Take care. All right, Mark, do we have anyone else?
That's it, my friend.
That is it. All right. Okay, last call for anyone wanting to have their say. After Hell in a Cell, we can talk Cody, we can talk Great Lakes beers, we can talk whatever you want. All right, Jake. I see Jake has his hand up.
Oh, Jake. Good old Jake. Good old reliable Jake. Any Evil Dead the musical fans? No, just me.
Oh, I wasn't even listening to what you said. I was looking at the YouTube chat. But remember, everyone listening on YouTube, you can be part of the show here on Zoom, patreon.com/SNME Radio. We have another show this month, so if you join, you'll at least be part of one more show. All right. Jake, how's it going?
Hey guys, sorry for being late. I had some internet issues tonight, so had to
Seems
make
to
some
be
calls,
the theme
so.
for everyone.
I know, right? So, thank you, Xfinity, for the help. So,
All right, so
All
what's
right.
going on? What do you have to say about tonight's show?
I looking back, I kind of wish I went to the show, but considering that sticking to a budget, I had to pick between this and Forbidden Door, and I had to eventually choose Forbidden Door. But despite WWE underselling this event for the past few TVs, this show definitely over-delivered, and I definitely see that this is kind of a trend for like the past few premium live events. So definitely was kind of surprised, and I was entertained. I was kind of surprised that Cody went on with the match, considering how WWE has this reputation of being strict with their performers with high caliber injuries. But this is definitely going to be like an all-timer in terms of like his performing career.
I agree with you there. Like there's so much, I have so many questions about that. Like, why was he cleared? Who cleared him? Clearly he wanted to go out, and like Mike mentioned, after the show, he cut a promo in the ring basically saying it was his choice. But I have so many questions like about this because it's just crazy. And I don't know about if anyone else noticed this, but or maybe it was my mind playing tricks, but I swear the bruise was getting worse and bigger as the match went on.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And considering how big it is, I mean, kind of interesting what the follow up will be. I do predict that he may have even though it's far down the road, he might have a significant presence in the Royal Rumble. Because that would be like the perfect timetable for him to eventually return. Speaking of that, I really enjoyed Bobby Lashley's performance tonight, and I kind of feel bad for the fan who took away who kind of took his replica championship with him. And regarding that, do you see maybe them pivoting towards Lashley becoming probably the face in the interim for the next few months?
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's something that I want to get Brad and Matt's thoughts on in a little bit, as well as yours, is who could, if Cody is gone, let's assume he's gone for a few months, who's going to be taking his place? What's the plan now? Who's in a position to be the face of Raw at this point? I think that Lashley might be your natural choice. There's that story to tell that, he kind of lost in Saudi Arabia back in February or whenever that was, and now it's kind of his redemption, is coming back at it. So we'll kind of see. That's what I think is going to be. Matt, what do you think?
Excuse me. Sorry, I'm on my phone. I'm not sure how well you can hear me, but I actually think Bobby Lashley was pretty clearly telegraphing the fact that he's going for that world title. He was doing the title belt motion. He stole a fan's replica belt, as Jake has said. So I think it's pretty damn clear that Lashley's going for that title. I'm still, as you can see, I have my Spirit of 76 headband on. I'm full hippie conspiracy about this Cody Rhodes thing. I'm not convinced there wasn't a little bit of a makeup job. I know Dave Meltzer has tweeted there was no makeup. I'm just saying, I have not fully put my tinfoil hat down yet about the Cody Rhodes thing. I'm not convinced he won't be at Money in the Bank. I don't know how bad this injury is, but man, if it's as bad as it looks, and they did, then he's probably out until at least the Royal Rumble, like our good friend Greg from the Peg said.
Yep. Chris Gaskin said Lashley and AJ can be moved from out of his feud. That's another name, right? AJ. We always forget about AJ Styles. He's had such a good run, but right now he's kind of just doing his thing with Edge. And, if you need a body, if you need great matches, who better than AJ Styles?
What do you think, Brad?
I think one of the few people left that nobody said is Finn Balor. I mean, he ate a pinfall tonight, but that could be somebody else that you could pull in. You really don't have very many people, especially if you think about when we watch SmackDown this week, or I made my child watch SmackDown this week. Drew McIntyre seems to be set up for the UK pay-per-view. So, you need somebody for these summer pay-per-views. And yeah, Bobby Lashley is probably your one. AJ's maybe two. What about Edge? Could they flip Edge, or could they do a heel versus heel thing and actually maybe have the bloodline turn it into faces?
That'd be interesting. That'd be really interesting. I don't know, right? Like, you never know what they have planned for Edge. I feel like his feud with AJ is still going to be going on. But here's the interesting part, though. We have 2 pay-per-views in July. There's Money in the Bank on the 2nd, and SummerSlam this year is in July. It's July 31st. So that's 2 shows in July. It's a stadium show. So, they don't have too much time. Because, Brad, I agree with you. I think it is kind of no one's surprised that it probably will be Drew McIntyre for the UK show. So, we have a few weeks to figure this out, but the clock's a ticking.
Well, the rumor has been, right, that it's going to be Riddle and Randy Orton at Money in the Bank in SummerSlam, leading up to Castle Crush or whatever the Castle pay-per-view is. Anyway, so I think they don't necessarily have to veer from that if that is actually their plan, to go Riddle and then Orton, both losing to Roman Reigns at the next 2 pay-per-views. I think that kind of makes sense. That's what I'm guessing happens.
Yeah, that's for sure something that I can see as well. And the other thing is, okay, so Roman hasn't defended his belt on a pay-per-view premium live event since WrestleMania. Let's just say he just doesn't take another couple months, right?
Can you imagine he's going to take 6 months off? He's on the Brock schedule.
Exactly. Like, that would be at this point, nothing would surprise me. But
that is caliber already anyway, so he definitely earned it.
Yeah, there were just so many questions coming out of this. Is Cody, like, how bad is the injury? Like, that's really what it comes down to. And if so, how long is it he be gone for? And then who's next? And it better not be Goldberg, I swear to God.
Oh no! Why you even say that?
Yeah.
Don't you wish that evil upon us, Boris? Jesus.
It's been a tough couple of days. Absolutely. Like, we got for both AEW and WWE, you got Punk's now out. Brian might be injured, and now this. So yeah, definitely a couple of big stars that they're that got shot out for the upcoming few weeks.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad time right now for top stars, right? And plans, like summer plans, such a great time for going to watch wrestling, buying a premium live event or pay-per-view, and now who knows what's going to actually happen. Matt, sure you're not ready for this, but is there any chance you have an update to our last patron standing?
Oh, you do! How dare you doubt me, buddy? Of course I'm ready. I was born ready. I saw J-Dub comment there, and yes, we are down to 8 remaining in last patron standing. It is officially the Elite 8, so I think for sure we're going to do Forbidden Door that the 26th of June, I believe, right? And then right away, I think the next weekend again is Money in the Bank, just like we just had that exact situation here. I think it's happening again, right?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Matt,
and it's a Sunday show. That's Forbidden Door, and then Saturday is Money in the Bank. So just a few days to turn picks around.
Yeah, 6-day turnaround. But the good thing about Forbidden Door is there's a whole door that is being opened of whole new picks. So maybe you can select a New Japan wrestler and you can get lucky, and you won't need to worry about saving anyone for the future. But yeah, we are down to the nitty gritty. And Brad, you were the last host standing. So congratulations. You beat the crap out of us.
I was waiting for you to shout out the people that were left standing, because there may be. Is there somebody else on this call that is still standing? Pointing in a direction. No, it's just me.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
No, but yeah, Boris went out. No, he's toast. He's long gone. He's like me. I went out with Madcap Moss round 1. No, yeah, I quickly, actually, I can shout out everyone who's still in the game. I'll load up that list if you all want to vamp for 30, 90 seconds here.
J-Dub in the chat is like, I'm still standing, as he proudly stands up.
James J-Dub from Dallas. Yeah, absolutely still in it.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a fun time. Yeah, I went out last week. For some reason, I actually thought Ruby Soho was going to be used properly, and I put my pick on her, and of course, AEW doesn't disappoint.
I have a pretty rude joke. This is not my opinion, but if you wanted to be a dick about it, you could call her Ruby So-So. Because she's always just mid-card Ruby So-So. Now I love Ruby. But please know that's not in my heart. That's just in my head. Anyway, so our final 8 for last patron standing. We have Brad McKinnon, Bradley the Dadley. We have Edward Strickland. We have James Weaver, Bracket Dallas. James Weaver Dallas edition. We have Ray Pefferman. We have Rodney Amiguara. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, Rodney. I'm very sorry. Amiguara. Rodney Amiguara. I hope I got that right. Sean Patrick Kelly. Stunning. Sean Burkhead. And of course, Tommy the Wall Walton. That is our Elite 8 right there. So,
if Sean
8-man
wins,
cage
we're
match,
never going to hear
King
the
of
end
the
of it.
Ring 93. Who is the Bret Hart? We will find out.
Wait, how could you possibly get in on this contest if you wanted to be part of this last patron standing contest, Matt?
Well, thank you very much for asking, Bradley. You would have to be a patron here at Sunday Night's Main Event Radio, and we will start this contest again as soon as there is a resolution, as soon as there is a winner. And if we're not done by SummerSlam, I'm going to cook some kind of lightning round up to speed up the process. You know, we've got to get season 2 going, but by all means, congratulations to everyone who has made it this far. And we're going to try to come up with some more games at Sunday Night's Main Event. I think we're always going to have at least a Survivor going on, and we'll come up with a couple more ideas here along the way as well. So keep your eyes
Nice on
peeled
the
for
quick
the next
thinking,
season.
Brad.
Yep, we got some stuff cooking up here for the patrons. Jake, thank you so much, and we're gonna be chatting for Forbidden Door. We'll chat. We'll try to get you on the line after the show at like 2 a.m. or something.
Hopefully traffic won't be that bad when I get out of there. So it's going to be definitely packed. So I appreciate it, guys.
Hi, Jake. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks so much. All right. Do we have anyone else waiting in the chat? Just raise your hand if you want your say.
No, sir.
All right. I think that is it. We're going to call it a night. Everybody, thank you so much. Mike, thank you for calling in from the arena itself. Matt, Brad, Mark, thank you guys for taking part. And thank you to all the patrons for joining, for being part of the show. We do it for you guys. We do it for, we do it for fun, and we do it for the patrons. Much love to everyone. For those of you on YouTube, just remember, you can be part of the show. You can zoom in, chat with us. Patreon.com/SNME radio. And Great Lakes Brewery, thank you for all the fine beer, for for the many hours that I have forgotten thanks to your product. Thanks, everyone. Good night. And remember, stay tranquilo.
Apologies again about the internet. Maybe I'll go full phone next time.
We the ones.
I have forgotten thanks to your product. Thanks, everyone. Good night. And remember, stay tranquilo.
One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4.